This best captain video is for if Haaland is sidelined. Obviously that would mean who you're sticking the vice captain on, or even a player that you might be transferring in. There's actually a player that's not on the shortlist who I think would be the best captain if he does start, and I'll mention him at the end of the video. First up on the shortlist this game week is his teammate De Bruyne. He faces Fulham at the Etihad. Next up is Mo Salah, who travels away to Spurs. And in that same fixture, it's Kane against Liverpool at home. Salah's the only player on the shortlist that doesn't have the home advantage, but to be fair, him and De Bruyne get an extra point per goal scored and a clean sheet point potential as well because they're midfielders. Let's delve into the non-penalty stats per 90 minutes for this season. As you can see, De Bruyne has been overperforming his underlying stats. His return points per 90 minutes are very impressive. There's one thing that I always mention, that the expected numbers are better at projecting the future return points than the actual return points themselves. So whilst De Bruyne's numbers are impressive, they're bound to regress at some point. It does go without saying that Salah's been off the boil this season. You can see that in his return points, to the lowest on the shortlist, but to be fair, he's got the most promising numbers going forward. Moving on to the set pieces, I don't know if you remember, but before Haaland turned up at City, we didn't really know who the dedicated penalty taker was, and if he is sidelined, it might be De Bruyne, but it also might be Gundogan. At least we know there's a chance he's going to take them if Haaland's off the pitch. Salah's on penalty duties for Liverpool, and Kane's on pens for Spurs. De Bruyne is the main man on indirect free kicks, direct free kicks and corners. Salah doesn't take any of them, and Kane just takes direct free kicks. To be fair, it goes without saying that penalties are the most valuable overall. Let's take a look at the probability of each player scoring or assisting. These odds are based on the assumption that each player plays 90 minutes. We'll review the expected minutes later on in the video. Salah's got the highest anytime goal scorer odds, Kane trails by just 1%, but De Bruyne's miles ahead on the anytime assist odds. He's on 52%, and the other two players are miles behind. This means De Bruyne's got the highest anytime return odds. Don't forget that him and Salah get an extra 20% points per goal scored. That's because they're midfielders. Therefore, Salah's ahead of Kane, and De Bruyne's even further ahead of Kane on the weighted odds as well. De Bruyne's got the highest overall on the points projections. He's got 7.7 on Fantasy Football Fix. He's also got the highest on Fantasy Football Scouts with 6.7 as well. By comparing the opposition's defence, we can see that he's obviously got the easiest fixture this game week, and don't forget that he has got the home advantage too. Before we draw up a conclusion, let's carry out a quick risk assessment. All three players featured in the Champions League midweek. Obviously De Bruyne's fixture wasn't that long ago, but to be fair, he only played 20 minutes, and as you can see, all three players on the shortlist have reliable expected minutes. With all that information, I'd say the best captain off the shortlist is De Bruyne, but if Alvarez starts and Haaland's unavailable, I'd say he's got the biggest upside overall. He's worth the £6 million, and I'd stick the captain's armband on him. Keep your eyes peeled for team news 15 minutes before the deadline. Also, make sure you've plotted your transfers depending on different scenarios, because the servers did crash last game week. Of course, it goes without saying, if Haaland starts, he's the optimal captain. Either way, you get the trend that it's worth captaining a City attacker that's definitely starting against Fulham at home, whilst the competitors have poor fixtures. Hit that like button if you found the video informative, and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already so you don't miss any of these videos.